All right. All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm Colleen Hartung, and I'm the chair of the 1000 Women in Religion Wikipedia project. This project is a hands-on effort that's working to add 1,000 plus biographies about cis and trans women's contributions to the world's religious and spiritual wisdom traditions in Wikipedia. Thanks for coming. So we know that we are all in various stages of the response to the COVID-19 virus, and I hope that you're all safe and that your loved ones are well, and we're glad that you came. This is our first try on a large-scale virtual edit-a-thon, and there will likely be a few glitches as we move through our day. It's a new way of working together, and everybody's struggling with figuring out how to do this virtual stuff in the context of the world that we're living in right now. So with patience, we will get through this great event. So I'm just going to stop here and just do a little review for people who might be new to Zoom. So say something so that your voice.
Hello.
Yeah. So Debbie is our technical troubleshooter today, and she'll be, everybody can mute themselves, move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, and you'll get a taskbar. And the taskbar will give you the opportunity to mute. It's on your right lower left-hand side. So, so keep yourselves muted. If for some reason somebody's having trouble figuring that out, Debbie will mute you. That just makes for a better experience for everybody. We all have telephones and dogs and different kinds of things going on in our environment. And that way, what we hear is the meeting that's going on here. So, so thanks for doing that. Let's see what else might be helpful about. So we're going to be moving in and out of break rooms, and you don't have to do anything to worry about that. Debbie is managing that, and you will just magically go into a break room when it's time, and then you'll magically pop back in. And Debbie will be floating around from break room to make sure that everything is going well in there. Let's see, what else might people have? Oh, the chat room. So if you do that same thing, take your cursor to the bottom of your screen, a little chat icon will come up, and you can press on that, and that will enable you to ask a question in the chat box. So actually for this large group edit-a-thon, it will be, you'll get the best response to your questions inside the breakout rooms. So, you know, have a little pad or something and keep your questions written down, and ask those in the breakout room. But do watch the chat box, because as we're going along, I'm going to be trying to put links in that we're referring to. And also, most of the facilitators of the chat rooms also got that link page, the page of helpful links. So it would be helpful for me as I'm moving along, as if you hear me talking about something and there's a link on that page that you think would be super helpful for people, and I haven't gotten it up yet because I'm busy dealing with other things. If you could put that link into the chat room at that time, that would be super helpful. Let's see. We're here for 3 hours. So I'll say this again when I talk about rules of the road, but feel free to just get up and do what you need to do, take a 5-minute break, whatever, because this whole thing will be videotaped, and you can go back and you can look at it at another time. And I guess that reveals how old I am, recorded, not videotaped, and you'll have access to it on the Parliament website. All right, so let's see. So the fact that this is Women's History Month has definitely been backgrounded by everything that's going on in the world. This month started off with me, posting everything I could find about women's and women's history in the world to my Facebook page, and that's not what's showing up on all of our social media feeds anymore. But the work of improving Wikipedia's content is still a great way to celebrate Women's History Month and the contributions of all women, in particular here for our event, Women in Religion. And with many of you home, you may find that you have time to help out with this project, which would be great. All right, the 1,000 Women in Religion Project is a major initiative of the Women's Caucus of the American Academy of Religion and the Society of Biblical Literature. And thanks to the Parliament of World Religions for sponsoring this Edit-a-thon today, and a special thanks to Miriam Quezada. Miriam, how do you say your last name?
Quezada.
Ah, so I was pretty
close, yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for setting this all up today and for getting us here. In fact, the 1,000 Women in Religion effort started as a project that was developed and supported by the Women's Task Force at the 2018 Parliament of World Religions. Elizabeth Ursic, who some of you saw at the beginning, the past and current chair of the Parliament of World Religions Women's Task Force, is here with us today. And she will welcome us and tell us a bit about the important historical and ongoing connection between the Parliament and the 1,000 Women in Religion Project. So when we get there, thanks Elizabeth for doing that, and thanks for being here. And we're also lucky to have Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight, who's the co-founder of Wikipedia's Women in Red project. With the Women in Red project, Rosie has worked tirelessly for the issue of gender bias on Wikipedia. In a few minutes, Rosie will give us a sense of Wikipedia's history and the problem of women's content on Wikipedia. And I am also joined today by other members of the 1,000 Women in Religion Project Committee and other Wikipedians interested in addressing gender bias on Wikipedia. These people will help facilitate chat rooms for our breakout sessions today, and they'll help with, some of them will help with the presentation today. So two things. So could you each say your name, the facilitators, and how long you've been editing on Wikipedia, so participants will recognize you when we get into the breakout rooms. And like Richard is here today, who is also an experienced Wikipedian. So Richard, please introduce yourself as well. And if there are other experienced Wikipedians who are joining us today, please let us know. So let's start with that. Let's start with those who are on the committee, the 1,000 Women in Religion committee, who will be working in chat rooms today. So just introduce yourself and you know, how long you've been working with Wikipedia.
Hi, I'm Polly Hamlin. I'm in Massachusetts, also working from home in Lexington, and I am a member of the 1,000 Women in Religion task team. And I have been editing Wikipedia since the 2018 Parliament when I learned about the project.
Okay. I can't see your faces, so can you help out there, Debbie?
Okay.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Okay.
I'm Debbie, and I'm part of the 1,000 Women in Religion Project and the Women's Caucus. So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona currently, and happy to be here.
All right, just call their names, Debbie, to
Okay.
who should introduce themselves next.
Let's see here. Christine Meyer. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. I just unmute. I'm Christine Meyer. I'm a longtime Wikipedian. Since 2007, my username is Figure Skating Fan. And I'm coming to you from snowy Moscow, Idaho.
All right.
Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight.
Hi there, I'm Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight. I'm a longtime Wikipedian since 2007, and I'm coming to you from Nevada City, California.
Richard and Rosalind, have you figured out your mic problems?
Oh, I didn't have a
Richard.
mic problem. I'm just waiting. Hi, I'm Richard. Richard Nipel, user Pharos on Wikipedia, active since 2004, and glad to be part of it today. I'm based in New York.
Okay, great. Rosalind?
Okay.
I think Rosalind is still having some mic problems.
All right. Is there anybody else? Debbie?
I think that's it. Mary Kate?
Hi, I'm Mary Kate. I'm Colleen's daughter. I'm from New York, but I escaped the coronavirus to Wisconsin. I've been editing for, I don't know, not very consistently for a few years.
All right, great. All right, so let's see here. All right, so what are we going to do today? So our goals for today. So the 1,000 Women in Religion and the Parliament of World Religions has a connection. So the first thing we're going to do is Elizabeth will tell us about that. Then we're going to move to a welcome to Wikipedia and the gender gap, and Rosie Stephenson-Goodknight will help us with that. Then we're going to move on to the meat of what we're doing today, and we're going to make sure that you all have a user account and that you are signed up to our dashboard so we can keep track of the work that you're doing for this project today and over the next few days following this event. And then we're going to move into creating a user page, which is important so that people on Wikipedia know who you are, and you can communicate with people using that tool in Wikipedia. We hope that you will all make at least one edit on a Wikipedia page, hopefully more. And we want you all to leave today with an editing action plan. So that is our plan for the day. All right, so now we're going to move to Elizabeth Ursic. Thanks, Elizabeth, for doing this. You've been introduced 100 times today already, so I'm not going to do that. But Elizabeth, you're up.
Great. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you. We're doing something historic today. For the 1,000 Women in Religion Project, for Women's History Month, and for the partnership with the Parliament of World Religions and the Women's Caucus. I just want to say that what we are doing is truly changing knowledge at the world level. And the possibility of putting more biographies of women in religion into this largest encyclopedia that we have in the world that translates in all the world's religions, will have the opportunity to jump into the hearts and minds, especially of young women in all the world's religions around the world, to find mentors, to find people from their traditions that they're inspired by, and to elevate women's contributions in all the world's religions. Dolly, could you unmute your phone and say hi? She and I are now co-chairs of the Parliament's Women's Task Force going forward. Dolly, are you with us?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, I just want to say that this is one of the initiatives that we will be carrying forward and building as we lead up to the next Parliament. And the Women's Caucus, just so that you know, Colleen and Debbie and many of the organizers of 1,000 Women in Religion came out of this group, and what we are, where I'm co-chair of that group as well, is women's presence, women's academicians in the Academy of the American Academy of Religion and Society of Biblical Literature, which was practically all male until 50 years ago. So we had actually one of the founders of the Women's Caucus with us last week on the webinar where we were featuring women, current women who are making history for Women's History Month, Carol Christ, who is one of the foremothers of the Goddess Movement. But she also started this organization that has now birthed these people that you're seeing today, coming forward to help us get knowledge into the public sphere about women in religion. So thank you, welcome, and let's keep working.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, so now we are going to work to move to Welcome to Wikipedia, and Rosie is going to help us. I did want to say a few more things about Rosie. I wanted to say that she already said that she started editing in 2007, but since she started editing in 2007, she's contributed over 4,000 new articles to Wikipedia and made over 100,000 edits. So that's dedication. So thanks for joining us, Rosie, and I am going to stop my share so you can share. Does that sound like a good way to go for you?
All right, so let's see if I can do this
So just to let me stop my share. Okay. All right, great. Perfect.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
All right, so let me go into present mode. Look at that. All right, everyone. So I'm going to be speaking on the topic of why Wikipedia and why women. And I can tell you that I have a goal for all of you today. And my goal is that you walk away from here as a Wikipedia enthusiast. I hope you make an edit. I hope you have a plan to make future edits. I hope you want to keep talking about Wikipedia, but mostly if you're just enthusiastic about what people are talking about during this edit-a-thon today, that's going to be great, because when you go back someday to a water cooler where you work or speak to your neighbor and you say, I had this great experience, even if you aren't the one who continues editing Wikipedia, maybe they'll become the Wikipedian and they'll become the editor. So I hope you enjoy what you're going to see today. So let's start by talking about what is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a multilingual, web-based free encyclopedia. The 5 pillars of Wikipedia you can see right there on the screen. It is the largest and most popular general reference work on the World Wide Web. According to Alexa, it ranks as number 5 most popular sites. It's controlled by us, Wikipedia editors, volunteers. It exists in 301 language versions. We'll be talking mostly today about the English language version, but there are 300 other ones. Each language Wikipedia has its own policies and guidelines and selects its own administrators. And with appropriate attribution, any article you see in any language Wikipedia can be translated into another language Wikipedia. So what's this whole wiki thing about? Well, wiki is the Hawaiian word for quick. And what you see here is the Wiki bus in Honolulu. The word was coined in 1995 by Ward Cunningham, who invented the editing language the Wikipedia editors use. And that editing language is based on a model of openly editable content, otherwise known as a wiki. Jimmy Wales is the co-founder of Wikipedia. He co-founded in 2001 with Larry Sanger. If Wikipedia had a motto or a mission statement, it would probably be this quote from Jimmy: "Imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge." That's what we're doing. Wikipedia is owned by the Wikimedia Foundation, they're the ones who own the servers. They're the ones who have a legal department, a human resources department, a tech department, and so forth. The Wikimedia Foundation was founded in 2003 as a way to fund Wikipedia and its sister projects through a nonprofit means. Wikimedia is an American nonprofit. It's a charitable organization and it's headquartered in San Francisco. It owns, I'm hearing others in the background, so if you can mute others, that would be great. Thank you. So Wikimedia owns the internet domain names of the most movement projects, and it hosts sites like Wikipedia. In addition to the 300 plus language versions of Wikipedia, it also owns Wiktionary, Wikibooks, Wikinews, Wikiquote, Wikisource, Wikiversity, Wikivoyage, Wikispecies, Wikicommons, and Wikidata. So let's talk about women and Wikipedia. And we're going to start with women as readers. In 2019, the Wikimedia Foundation ran 3 reader surveys, one in March, one in June, July, and one in September, October. It did this across 13 language Wikipedias. It learned several things about readers of Wikipedia, including age, gender, education, geographic region, native language, and even motivation for reading Wikipedia. What you see on the screen, the gender balance is consistent across age groups. So you see 70% of the respondents to the reader surveys of 2019 were age 29 or younger. And 76% of readers identified as men. So whether you were 29 or younger, 29 or older, 76% identified as men. Now it was a little bit better in some countries. I think for the United States, it was something like 75% identified as men. Before you become an editor, you're a reader, right? You learn about Wikipedia, you read Wikipedia, and eventually maybe you decide, I think I'm going to edit Wikipedia. And there are various gaps and biases on Wikipedia, and one of them is participatory, the editors. Let's start with that. The volunteer editing community behind Wikipedia has a lot of motivations. Why do we decide that we want to become an editor? Why do we want to be this volunteer when we can volunteer our time to do so many other things? Well, we can learn from someone named Jess Wade. Jess Wade is a scientist. She's a postdoc in London, and she, as a scientist, writes biographies about women scientists and also LGBT and people of color who are scientists. This is what she had to say. I learned that the majority of editors are white men. And so many young people use Wikipedia as their sole source of information. They go to Wikipedia first when they're looking for something. And I don't want to be that incredibly biased view of the world, that the people you read about are all men. And that's what frightened me, and that's what motivated me. I want to talk for a moment about conflict of interest. So if we are volunteers, we might encounter something called conflict of interest if we decide that we're going to edit about things that are very close to us. For example, if we decide to write a Wikipedia article about ourselves, that's a no-no. And you shouldn't write a Wikipedia article about a family member unless they're dead. And you shouldn't write a Wikipedia article about someone who's employed by the same company as you. But if there's a good reason for you to write or improve an article about someone who's close to you or an organization that's close to you, then you should disclose the conflict of interest on your user page. You should state, I'm a member of something and I will be editing articles in that regard, and please notify me if you think that there's a conflict of interest in what I'm doing. Conflict of interest editing is strongly discouraged on Wikipedia because it undermines confidence and it risks causing public embarrassment to individuals and the companies that are being promoted. Editors with a conflict of interest are sometimes unaware of whether or how much it influences their editing. If conflict of interest editing causes disruption, an administrator may opt to place blocks on the involved accounts. Editors with a conflict of interest, including paid editors, are expected to disclose it whenever they seek to change an affected article's content. Anyone editing for pay must disclose who is paying them, who the client is, and any other relevant affiliation. And this is a requirement of the Wikimedia Foundation. Conflict of interest editors should not edit effective articles directly, but should propose changes on article talk pages instead. So who isn't editing Wikipedia? Well, the goal of Wikipedia is to be an unbiased source of knowledge. Everyone should be able to contribute to it and read it. Those who contribute to it, Wikipedia articles, engage with the production side of the Wiki movement. They create articles, they improve articles, they create policies, they enforce policies and guidelines. They might be administrators, or sometimes we call them SciSops. But the fact is, the largest group of Wikipedia editors are English-speaking, white, cis males. And another fact is that the real lack of editing diversity on Wikipedia can be changed. It can be changed directly by you. The first ever comprehensive editor survey took place in 2010 with a study by the United Nations University that revealed only 12.6% of Wikipedia editors were women. Following year, 2011, an editor survey was done by the Wikimedia Foundation, which noted that only 8.5% of the contributors were women. Now, at the time, Sue Gardner was the executive director of Wikimedia Foundation, and she set a goal. Her goal was that by 2015, 25% of the editors would be women. But by 2015, Sue Gardner had left the foundation. We had a new executive director, and there was no survey. But there was one in 2018. The 2018 editor survey of 4,000 participants who answered 170 survey questions found that the diversity of contributors on the Wikimedia projects seems to remain unchanged. 9% reported as being female, 1% as being non-binary, 90% reported as being male. The median age of the average Wikipedian is between 35 and 44 years. 81% of the responders are from the global north. 85% of the responders have post-secondary education. So you ask, well, why are there so few women editors? There are lots of answers to that, but let me start by saying in Collier and Baer's 2012 paper of Conflict, Confidence, or Criticism, they state that anytime a demographic is underrepresented in an organization, we must ask what's causing that shift. Is it personal preference? Is it selection? Is it retention, attraction, discrimination? What is it? They reviewed the literature and they suggest Wikipedia's contribution rates, the difference between women and men could be due to 3 factors. Number 1, the high level of conflict in discussions about articles. Number 2, dislike of critical environments. And number 3, possibly the lack of confidence in editing other contributors' work. So you might write something, but you don't really want to be making changes to somebody else's articles. And men don't seem to have that same issue. Now we move on to the third part of the gender gap in Wikipedia, and that's the content itself. Content gender gap informs how gender bias from the real world extends to Wikipedia content. how women are characterized in Wikipedia in comparison to men, and how many articles there are about women, women's issues, women's works compared to men. Content gender gap not only looks therefore to quantity of articles, but also to systemic asymmetry in the way that three dimensions of analysis favor one gender over the other: the metadata, language, and network structure. In 2018, for the third time in 117 years, a woman, Donna Strickland, won the Nobel Prize in Physics. Yet she had no Wikipedia article before the announcement. Now, she didn't work in a vacuum. She worked in a laboratory with a male collaborator, and he had a Wikipedia article. It is a reminder regarding women's invisibility. A Wikipedia article on Donna Strickland had been drafted earlier in the year, but the draft was rejected by an editor with the comment, "This submission's references do not show that the subject qualifies for a Wikipedia article." This is despite the fact that the original editor included a link to a page that showed Strickland was a past president of the Optical Society, a major physics professional organization, and that she was a publisher of some of the field's top journals. In light of the Strickland incident, Wikipedia received justifiable criticism for its low percentage of female editors, its low percentage of women's representation, its editing culture, and its replication of the world's systemic biases. Katie Bowman, on the right side of your screen, led the development of an algorithm for imaging black holes. But a threat of deletion loomed over her Wikipedia article the same day it was written. And that too received press attention. Now, Katie Bowman didn't work in a vacuum either. She worked with 300 other scientists, and some said, well, if there's an article for Katie, there should be one for the other 300, or for none of them at all. I leave you to ponder this. If Katie Bowman had been a 29-year-old man instead of a 29-year-old woman, would there ever have been this argument? And the same for Donna Strickland. Donna Strickland had been a 59-year-old man instead of a 59-year-old woman when she received her Nobel Prize. Would there have been any issues about getting her article published? Several years ago, a friend of mine from the UK sent to me the Diccionario Biográfico, Geográfico y Histórico de Venezuela. He thought perhaps I'd be interested in doing translation of the articles that were women's biographies from Spanish into English. And I thought that might be a good project for me. So I started doing that. But I found I had to scroll page after page after page, looking for the next woman's biography. You see, there were all these biographies about men. They were generals, they were politicians, they were men of the cloth, and the few women, they were pianists and they were poets. And so I decided to count them and found that only 3.6% of the biographies in that encyclopedia were about women. There's a photo of me holding the book and talking about that in 2015. In March of 2012, 2013, and 2014, many Wikipedia editors decided to focus creating on women's biographies during March, Women's History Month. The other 11 months, not so much. Using a 2014 data set from DBpedia, Wagner and her team did a study and recorded that in 2014, only 15.53% of biographies in English Wikipedia were about women. Now, that's a lot better than what I said here about 3.6%, right? So yay. But we thought we could do better. And that's what formed Women in Red, a project that does the same thing as we did in March of 2012, 2013, and 2014. Only instead we do this 365 days of the year. We create biographies about we create articles about women's biographies, women's works, and women's issues broadly construed. And you can see what our international community has done. It has shifted the number from 15.5 to 18.27% as of March 2020. We've never set a goal. We've never said we want to reach 51%, 50, 49, 33, 20, or anything else. We just know that we can do better. And so that's what we do. And maybe some of you want to join us in this endeavor. Increasingly, though, the female biography ratio on some Wikipedias has really changed for the better. For example, Welsh Wikipedia is at more than 50%, and so is Asturian, and so is Mahilia. And this is because they're using something called a bot, artificial intelligence, to create some of their biographies. Now, I'm not suggesting we do that for English Wikipedia, but you can see that this isn't a project just done on English Wikipedia. Many other languages have decided that they see that there's a systemic bias issue, and we're kind of working on it together. So when you say, okay, Rosie, I get these numbers broad and general, but can you tell me, are there any kind of occupations where the numbers are better or worse? And the short answer is yes. So I've placed these in alphabetical order. You can see that on the screen. I can get from academic down to coach. And you can kind of see what the difference in numbers are. So just starting at the top where I have academic circled in red, 13.3% of the biographies on English Wikipedia about academics are women. If you scroll down to author, which is circled in blue, it's 20.4%. And I'll tell you why I'm drawing that to your attention. In 2014, same year that I met Elizabeth Ursic online, there were three projects that were started specific to occupations regarding women, and all of them have had this kind of sizable effect, this bump. WikiProject Women Artists, WikiProject Women Scientists, WikiProject Women Writers. And I want you to realize, therefore, that you can make a difference. This project you have, 1,000 Women in Religion, can actually make this difference, can make this bump. If you work at it over and over again, concerted effort, and over time, you too can raise the bar. Further down on the page, you can see Catholic priest, 0.025, clergy, 4.7% are women, clergymen, hate that, 3.669%. So, how do you find these biographies that already exist on Wikipedia if you want to improve them and then create new ones and add it? Where do you add it? We have something called categories on Wikipedia, and I've circled in red for you to see how to get to the category that lists these biographies. If you take your phone and you take a snapshot of that, you'll have it readily available now. But this slide deck that I've just done is going to be up on Commons, so you can access it anytime. Okay?
Okay. All right. So what do we do and how can you participate? Polly Hamlin, a member of our 1,000 Women in Religion Committee, is going to take us through this section. Are you ready, Polly?
Sure, happy to. So one of the things that's exciting about Wikipedia is that we have the tools that we need and the ability to help shift these numbers and increase the representation. And so we just wanted to talk a little bit about how you can help do that as participants in this project. So one of the, pretty much the heart of our project is this 1,000 Women in Religion list. So what we have done is gathered the name of, at this point, it's almost over 1,500 names of women that are missing from Wikipedia that we think should be included. And you can find the list, which is continuing to grow, on the Women's Caucus website. And this list is largely drawn from our knowledge as religious scholars and practitioners of the world's religions, of women who are either practitioners, who are leaders, who might be resistors, people who might be scholars of religion. And they're all women who we think are notable and could be added to Wikipedia. So the first thing we've been working on is identifying those names, and we invite anybody on this call and anyone you know to submit names if you can think of people that aren't already on our list. Anyone that you think is missing from Wikipedia that we should add.
Okay, how do I get back?
One of the challenges that we have to wrestle with is that in order for a notable woman to be added to Wikipedia, as Rosie mentioned, we have to use sources to back up the claim that a particular woman is notable. So if you are interested in submitting names, it's also helpful if you have links to articles about those women, secondary sources we could use to help support and inform ourselves about that particular person. So we are gathering these names and we are creating essentially a Women in Red list for this project. We are also in the process of uploading those names into Wikidata. Wikidata is another of the wiki projects that Rosie identified, and it is a structured database that allows us to enter in names of women who we think are notable and then put those red links onto our project page. So we are in the process of uploading 1,500 women into Wikidata, and it's a big project. So we'd love to, if anybody likes to work on databases, we'd love to have more help with that. It's very easy to learn Wikidata, but we're still have a lot of work to do to build that list out. Colleen, do you want to switch to the next slide?
I am having trouble getting
Okay.
back to the, I was trying to do, to put up some links in the chat room, and Mary Kate and I are having trouble getting to the slide deck.
Okay, well, I can just keep talking.
Yes, do.
Okay, fine. So the other thing that we are encouraging people to do is to, we want to, as a project, expand the number of editors, particularly people who have an interest in women and religion, because in addition to needing women editors, we also need women editors and male editors who are excited about writing about the space of religion, because that gives us the knowledge base to be good editors. Part of the challenge is that there aren't necessarily enough editors who understand the religious traditions in a scholarly way to build up these articles to make them effective. So anybody who is interested in helping to work on Wikipedia with an interest in religion is a great asset, not only to this project, but to Wikipedia as a whole, because people with special knowledge are really a great addition to the editing teams. So what we'd like to do as a project is to do these edit-a-thons and train new editors and get people excited about contributing the content on Wikipedia. So everyone that we train helps address the gender bias, and then each person who learns can also expand their circle of and networks by doing edit-a-thons yourself. So we're happy to help teach you how to do edit-a-thons and to encourage you to do them in your own setting with your peers and your colleagues. You to expand this. So we're hoping to have a real effect that as people come to the, they're excited about being editors, but also about sharing with others the ideas about this project and the need for more editors. So we have a couple different areas that need work. So we want to add new entries to Wikipedia. We want to upgrade the articles that already exist. We want to improve the accuracy and the representation of women on Wikipedia. We also could do more. There's a whole nother area of work to be done in terms of photos and images, which is another wiki, which is called Wiki Commons. And that's a place where we can increase representation of women as well by uploading photos of women or photos about women's work. And then those photos can be used in wiki articles, Wikipedia articles, and they can be used across all the wiki platforms. So that's another area that we're working on. So Colleen, if you want to go to the next slide, that would be great. So one of the challenges that we are encountering as a team is that as we identify women we want to add to Wikipedia, we have to find secondary sources that we can use to substantiate the notability requirements and also just to fill in the information that we'd like people to have about these women. And as many of you will probably already know, finding adequate secondary sources about women in religion can sometimes be a challenge. There are, of course, many gaps in our research and our sources, and we need to expand more. We need to find more resources and secondary sources for women in religion. But those of us who have access to scholarly journals can contribute that knowledge to Wikipedia by making those connections and using those sources. So that's really another way in which people can contribute to improve the quality of Wikipedia. We are also trying to generate new material. So we are creating or have created an annual panel on women's biographies, which will be presented at the American Academy of Religion. We had our first panel last November, and we'll be having another one next year at the AAR annual meeting in Boston. And those are original biographies of women that have not been included on Wikipedia, and various authors have written those biographies and then presented at AAR. And then we are also working with ATLA to create a yearly monograph, which will include those biographies that are presented at AAR and some additional biographies. And each year we'll have a different theme. So we're really expanding the sources that people could then use to cite when they're writing Wikipedia articles. So we're trying to approach this problem from a variety of perspectives and a multi-pronged approach, if you will. And we'd love to have people who are interested in helping with this effort of writing more biographies about women. So if you're interested in that, we can give you more information about participating in those efforts. Can you go to the next slide? So we also would love to have people join our Zoom meetings and our monthly planning sessions. So you can visit the Women's Caucus website for a link, or you can contact either Colleen or myself or any of the team members here. We'd love to have you join us for part of the meetings just to hear what we're doing and find out how you can continue to contribute. And if you want to be more involved and take on projects, we'd love to have everybody's involvement. So this is really an open project. Everybody's welcome, and we're really excited that you're all here today, and we hope that you'll continue to stay in touch with us.
You've all provided some form of contact information, and we'll send out an invitation to our next meeting, and you can decide if you'd like to join us. And we meet every month, and so maybe next month doesn't work out, maybe the next month doesn't work out, but you can drop in. Maybe you've been editing and you have some questions. You can drop in at those meetings and get information about what we're doing, and also get your questions answered there. So you'll be receiving contact from us afterwards on that. So thanks,
Great.
Polly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're going to move into editing, and this really is the fuel, the energy that fuels this project. The list is the heart, but the reason the list exists is because we want to get those women represented on Wikipedia. Women who are already on Wikipedia, their articles often tend not to be as built out as the articles about men, so we're also interested in improving the quality of articles that are already on Wikipedia about women. So it really is the fuel, the energy behind the project. And so in this section, we're going to make sure that you all have accounts that are created. We're going to look at some basic rules of the road, and then we're going to do some orienting to editing, and then doing some actual editing. And for this first section, on making sure that you're all signed up on our dashboard and Wikipedia, Debbie Fulthorpe will lead us through that section of the project.
So make sure you are here and you're going to sign in and get your username and passcode to get in. So let me share the other here. Okay, so you're going to follow the prompts. You're going to sign up for a Wikipedia account and sign up on the dashboard itself. And that was the first link that I brought you to, but it is on the in the chat box under let me see, Parliament of World Religions.
So Debbie, before the session, Elizabeth was, or maybe it was Polly, somebody was having trouble going from directly getting signed up with that direct dashboard link, that it really is working better for people to go to the meetup
original
page,
Oh,
the meetup
okay.
page, and following the link from the meetup page.
Okay, so don't worry about the dashboard then. Just
Well,
do
they
the
are going to
meetup
go to the dashboard, but they'll get there through the Parliament meetup page.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. All right.
All right.
So let's just review that. So this is what you do. You go to the Parliament meetup page. Yes, you were just there, and I gave you a link to that. And when you're there, you go down to the section, what to do before you come to the meeting. And the second line of that says register for Wikipedia and for the outreach dashboard. And there's a little link there. And then you click on that link, and then it will ask you to do some things. Why don't you talk about that, Debbie?
Okay, I'm going to log out and try to make it look like I don't know if I can do that, if I can sign up as another. Well,
Colleen,
Yes?
Colleen, I've put into the chat the shortened URL to get everyone to the meetup page.
Great.
So if everyone can go into the chat, scroll to the bottom of the chat, and then you'll see a URL, a short link, and that'll get you to the meetup page. And on the meet.
okay, so make sure you're doing this here. You'll sign up. And then it should take you right there.
And it'll say, do you want to join? And then you say yes. If you aren't already a Wikipedia editor, it will give you directions to do that. They're simple, easy. Remember, it's going to ask you to choose a username, and some people choose a username that identifies them if you want to be identifiable, but many people choose a new username that allows them to retain some sort of anonymity. Like for me, my username is Dezingle1, and for most people, I know who that is because that's my maiden name, or my friend would yell at me if I called it maiden name, my birth name. So think about what you want your username to be. So let's find your user page. So right here, so you would go on any, now Rosie, if you could open up here, I think you would go to any, whenever you're on any Wikipedia page and you're logged in, okay, you would get this view right here, okay, across the top. And then right here is your username. All right, so the username that you just created for yourself is right at the top there. So if it's in red, so in Wikipedia, red links mean that that page doesn't exist. So in order to create your user page, you click on that link. Okay. So once you click on that link, this is what you will see. It will say start the user page right there. All right, so I want you to look at that username right there. Okay, Art Fem Guides, actually, that's, you know, that's the username that this person created. And that's the kind of username, if you're having trouble, that you might want to try to come up with, something that nobody else would think of. Anyway, so once you've clicked on that on the first page over here, so right here, you click on that, and then you would get something that looks like this, and you would move to this line right here that says start the user page, Art Fem Guides page. So you'd click on that, and then once you click on that, this is what will show up. Oops. All right. Yeah. So this is what will show up. So this is what a user page is. It's a place for you to write about yourself and your editing activities. So here you only add information about yourself if you wish. And remember, and this is back to creating your username. When you're creating a username, make sure that it's anonymous. It can help you ensure privacy about yourself. And also, when you're sharing on this page, only share what you want to share.
So I'll go ahead and jump in here and say, it's safe to write things like, I like to take long walks on the beach, because no one will be able to discern what your gender is or where you live in the world if you do that. But if you are an employee of ATLA and you want to go to the article about ATLA and add a sentence or add a comma or add another reference, you need to disclose on this, your user page, that you are an employee of ATLA, and that if anyone has a problem with your edit, they can let you know what the issue is.
Yeah. Right, that's correct.
I'm sorry, can I ask another question? Rosie, I think for a lot of religious organizations or even these academic groups, it's not so much that they're employees, but they may well be members. So does that need to be disclosed?
Yes, if they want to edit the page about their organization, then yes. But if it's kind of a fine line, it's tricky.
So as long as they're not as long as they're not editing a page about their organization. And Colleen, we found out that the Women's Caucus doesn't have a page yet. We need to have a page. But those that actually create that page have to disclose it on their personal site that they're members. But if you're not editing that particular page, you don't have to disclose it?
Right. So if you are a member of an organization, whatever it is, whether it's religious or it has to do with trains, if you are a member of that organization and you want to edit the page or create the page about an organization, then you have a potential conflict of interest. And I think Richard probably is in the same boat as I do. We receive emails from people all the time who say things like, I belong to this particular organization and there are errors here. It's being portrayed inappropriately. There was something negative that happened that appeared in the news 10 years ago, and someone keeps reinserting it into the page about our organization, and I want that to stop. So if you are the one who wants to edit it, you have to disclose on your user page how you're affiliated with that organization.
All right, so what you would do is click on that link. It takes you here. You can just write something as simple as, if you don't know what to write today, because you can edit it, you can change it back. You could write, I'm interested in editing articles about cis and trans women who have made contributions to the world's religious, spiritual, and wisdom traditions. It doesn't identify you as male or female. You're not really doing a lot of editing yet, so you don't have to worry about revealing conflict of interest. So just something simple. All right, so you would type that in to your user page, and then when you've done that, you would press publish. Okay, and then once you've pressed publish, a little banner will come up and it will ask you to give a summary of the edit. And I would just say creating my user page and then press publish again. All of this is important because this kind of process will happen with pretty much all of the edits that you do. You know, you'll push publish, it will ask you to give a summary, and then you'll push publish again. If you don't go through that process, your edit will not be saved, just across the board. So just remember, there's always this publishing process that includes pressing publish, describing your edit, and pressing publish again. All right. So let's check out your user talk page. Let me just look here. All right. So, okay, other contributions okay, so you click talk, and so once you get to your user talk page, so let's go back here. Do you see this little thing here that says talk? It says user page, and then right next to there is a button that says, or a tab that says talk. All right, so that's what they're talking about here. So you'll click talk in the right top corner, and you'll get to this page where other contributors can leave a message for you. So you'll get all kinds of messages from Wikipedia, from maybe you've made an edit or you've written an article, and people will leave you messages there about your article. And you can do the same thing. When you're looking at somebody's article, you can go to the talk page and you can leave a message for that person. Every time you do that, when you send messages to people using their talk pages, you sign your messages with 4 tildes. And when you do that and press enter, that will insert your username and the date and time of your message. That way they know who you are and when you left the message. All right?
Colleen, our group is asking, they're still having trouble with how do you find a username if you want to go post on someone else's post? How do you find that? How do you find a person's username?
Okay, so as a beginning editor, what you would use a person's username for is like you could, you're reading an article and say I wrote an article about, which I did, just any article that I've written on. And so you go to my article and you read it. Okay, so you could go to the talk page for that article. You would see the edit that I made and you would click on that and you would have a suggestion for that edit or a question about that edit. And that's how you would communicate with that person. Or, for instance, on our meetup page for today, or on the 1000 Women in Religion project page, someone could go and look at that page and maybe have a suggestion or want to make a comment about that page. They could go to our talk page and make a comment, but they could also go to the edit history, which we haven't covered yet, for that page, and they would click on that and could leave a comment about the edit. The reason we're trying to turn people's user names from red to blue today is because if your username is red, you know, if you haven't activated your user page, if your new username is red, when you make an edit, that's a signal to all the editors out there that you're a new editor. And so they will immediately come and look at the edits that you make, and they will be scrutinized in a way that other editors whose names are blue, whose users' names are blue, are not. So that's why it's important to turn your username from red to blue. The communicating part of it is less important today because before that even becomes relevant for you, you have to get into doing some editing. So I'm going to move us on from that question. We are going to move to editing an article, just some basic editing stuff. And I'm going to go back to the screen share. All right. And make sure you are muted. All right. Trying to see. All right, 33. Okay, editing an article. All right, so orienting yourself on Wikipedia. If we'd done the sandbox, you'd already have some orientation to this, but here we are. Okay. All right, so orienting yourself on a Wikipedia page. So once you're logged in, so for those of you who got signed on to Wikipedia, you're logged in, okay? You could go to the bell hooks page. So here's a page about bell hooks. And you can follow along with the slides. Okay, so this is all more difficult. We're learning about the difficulties of working with Zoom, that you can't actually follow along as we're doing this. But we'll be reviewing it in the breakout session. So what you can see here is that when you get to any page for a biography, on really any page on Wikipedia, what you'll have is the read, edit, and view history. Okay, so 3 tabs at the top. So now I'm going to take you to the view history page. So you can click on the view history tab, and there you will see a complete history of every revision that's been made about that page since that page was started. And if you're looking at the bell hooks page, that page has pages upon pages upon pages upon pages of edits that have been made to this page. So when you write an article for Wikipedia, you put it up there, you don't own that article anymore. People will come along, they will look at it, and they will improve it. You know, they will add edits to it, they will add information, they will add sources, and that will go on, you know, in perpetuity. So there, like I said, there are many, many pages on bell hooks revision, her view history page. All right, so let's see. So now, when you go to the edit page, the first time you go to an edit page, if you're actually going to be editing that page, you will get the opportunity, a bar usually will come up and it says, do you want to switch to visual editor? And in fact, you do, because otherwise your page is going to be in wiki markup, which is not user-friendly for a beginning editor. So when it tells you, asks you, do you want to switch to visual editor, say yes. Okay. At other times when you're editing, there'll be and it's not on this page, but there's a little pencil thing that is up, a little pencil tab or button that you click on, and it'll switch you to visual editor. So anytime you go in to edit and you see that it looks in a way that it does not look like a Word document, just go up and find that little pencil, click on it, and it will take you into visual editor. Okay. So now the edit page. All right, so here is your main workspace when you're working on on editing a page. And you'll see that it has a toolbar. And this toolbar at the top is your friend. And it allows you to do a lot of different things. Oops. All right, so here we go. So this section right here, the text formatting, it's a text formatting section. It says paragraph. And when you click on that, you'll get the opportunity to do different kinds of headings. What happens when you press on this is you'll get the opportunity for to put different headings in, like heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. This top area right here where it says bell hooks would be like subheading 1. And when you get down to something smaller, like biography, that would be subheading 2. So that allows you to work with stuff like this. This section here is just your, your font types of things, italics, those kinds of things, bold. All right. Let's see. Here, you can put in hyperlinks. So let's say that the article that you're writing has mention of a town or mention of a university. You can actually take that mention and you can turn it into a link that will take you to another page on Wikipedia. And that's really important because without those links from the article that you're working on, if that article doesn't have very many links, it's like an orphan on Wikipedia, and not that many people will be able to see it, and eventually it actually will be cited for needing more work because it doesn't have enough links to other articles. So that's where you would do stuff like that. And this button allows you to put citations into your article, or when you're editing on somebody's article, you can add citations. All right. And so here you can see Wikipedia articles have lots of citations. Citations are super important for wiki articles because the reliability of the articles is important. So you can go into an article and improve an article by adding citations. And many articles will be flagged. They'll say this article needs citations. So the article will have a statement about information, but there isn't a citation that says where that information comes from. So that's one way of improving an article, is that you go in to, you find a citation for that source and for that piece of information, and then you go ahead and add the citation. And that's a super great improvement to an article. All right, and so when you click on that citation button, what will happen is a box like this will come up, and let's say that that you found the information that this person in this article was talking about, but it doesn't have a source. Let's say you found a book that is the source for that, and you have the ISBN number for that book. What you can go ahead and do is press automatic, add the ISBN number, and click, and it will automatically create that citation, and the citation will be inserted, and you didn't have to do anything. Let's say that that citation doesn't look the way you want it to look. Then you can go ahead and press manual, and a bunch of drop-down boxes will come in, and you will be able to add information the information that you think would be important for that citation. It'll give you all kinds of choices. You just click the choices that you think are important, and then click finish, and it will publish a citation that looks the way you want it to look. All right. All right. So I'm going to let Rosie take over from here and see if we can get people to try to do one crazy edit before we leave today. All right, Rosie.
Okay, so let's go back to the Meetup page that has the information about today's event. And as we scroll down, we'll see there'll be lots and lots of women's names. These are biographies. And what we're going to do then is each of us is going to pick a person from a list, and I'm going to help you with the choice of who you're going to pick. So does everyone have a tab open for that, or do we want to put the shortened URL back in the chat?
Why don't you put the shortened URL in the chat?
Okay, so let me go back and get it. Here we go. One moment. So if you go to the chat, scroll down to the bottom of the chat for this Zoom, you're going to see a URL that ends in LDR, and let's go ahead and click it, okay?
And I'm going to share it. Okay, can everybody see that?
That's where we want to get everyone to and so we're going to wait a minute. We're going to take a pause while you all get there. And how you're going to get there, again, in the Zoom chat is the link for how to get to there. Does anyone need another minute?
Colleen, I think you need to unshare because we can't have access to our own.
Okay.
No, there should be no trouble. You can share. Every person should be able to have another tab open. So not on Zoom, another tab open, and then be able to paste that URL. Should be able to get there.
Do people understand what Rosie is saying? What you have to go into your computer, and you have to have two screens open at the same time.
I'll show you how to do that. That might be helpful. I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay.
Can you see my screen? I have multiple tabs open. I've got the dashboard thing happening. I've got this thing happening here. I've got here's the chat going on. Do others see how you don't have to have just your whole screen filled with the Zoom? You can make the Zoom part just be a part of it. Doesn't have to be the whole of it.
All right. So what Rosie's trying to get you to do is to be able to follow along with her at the same time as you go ahead and do this with her. Get it?
Right. We're trying to get everyone to get to this page, the Wikipedia Meetup Parliament of World Religions, 1,000 Women in Religion Edit-a-thon. Is there anyone who is not there? Or are we all there?
Keep going, Rosie. I
All right.
think
So
we're
if you
good
are
enough.
there, then you can see I'm looking at the contents, and I want to kind of help you with the contents just a little bit. We're going to go down to the very bottom. Very bottom, I pasted in the last couple of hours a section called Guide for Newcomers. That's a lot of you.
Yes.
All right. And so if you're looking at the Guide for Newcomers, it's really small, but you can click the show button that will then expose everything in there. And it's got a whole lot of stuff. It's got Wikimedia projects links. It tells you about help. There's a section about guides. There's Sandbox, how to get help from another person, some writing guides. And these also have show buttons that have more information you can click on. There's some tutorial videos, how to write about women, images and photos information. All of this is hiding behind this thing called, I'll hide it again, at the bottom of the page, Guide for Newcomers. And I've hidden it so that it doesn't take up the whole page, but it's there for you. So as long as you can access this, you will have access to a lot more information after you leave this call. So now that we're here, what we want to do also is we want to look at what's on the workbench. The workbench are articles that Colleen and Polly and others have added names of women that we can think about working on today. You can see that there's a key. The women whose names are in blue links, these are articles that need improvement. The women who have their name is showing up in red, they don't have a Wikipedia article. And today, in the interest of time, we're not going to work on creating any new articles. We're only going to work on making edits to articles that already exist. You can also see that we've got here some policies and style guidelines. One is for biographies of living persons, and the other is the manual of style for biographies. I'm not going to click on them now, but I want you to know that we're providing them to you so that you have access to them after you hop off this call. Here's our list of historic women. There's a group of about more than 20 names of women who were speakers at the 1893 Parliament of World Religions. And these would be great names to choose from, except for the one in red, because there's no article about her. But all the others, these would be great articles for you to choose from to do an improvement. We'll talk about how to do an improvement in a moment. And another list that would be equally excellent is these historic women in world religions. These names are women, all of them are dead. So let's make a distinction now between a biography of a living person and a biography of a dead person. We call her historic women. Wikipedia has an extra set of rules for the biographies of living people, as it should. And so if you are a new editor, I would highly discourage you from improving or creating an article about a living person. First, learn the ropes editing other articles about a train, about an organization, or about a dead person before you tackle a biography of a living person. There are a special group of editors, volunteers, all of us, who are living in all different parts of the world, who keep an eye on the edits of new editors. And by new editors, I'm going to say the first 100 edits or so that you make. And they're very careful to screen what you're doing because they wonder, do you really know what you're doing? If you're editing the biography of a living person, they're going to be looking even more closely at you. Again, do you know what you're doing when you want to edit the biography of Barack Obama versus if you're going to edit the biography of a woman who died in 1893? And you would understand that there should be extra scrutiny of those articles. So today, let's focus on this group of articles, historic women, either from the Parliament of World Religions or historic women in world religions, someone who is dead. And there's a lot of articles to choose from here. And then once you have picked one of those, I'll just, here we go, here's one. Lydia Emily Grucci. So Lydia Emily Grucci was born in 1894, died in 1992. We can see that someone created a header called biography and a header called career, and then put some references, and then put something called bibliography at the bottom, and here are her categories. What I'd like you to do is to pick one of those articles and let's improve the lead of that article. The lead is the opening paragraph, but what you're going to find for a lot of these articles, a lot of these biographies, the lead isn't a paragraph. It might be one sentence. It might be two sentences. If you look at men's biographies, there's going to be more than two sentences for the men. But for the women, for some reason, because there aren't a lot of women editors doing the work, women's biographies tend to have fewer sentences in the lead. The benefit of doing this kind of an edit for you today is you don't have to find a reference about it. Those references should already be in the article. You don't have to go and Google something about Lydia Emily Grucci because all the information that you need to improve the lead is already in this article. Use something from here to improve the lead. And so let's go ahead and just take a look at that. So it has two sentences: that she was a French-born Canadian who became the first woman ordained to the ministry in the United Church of Canada, And the second sentence tells us she was the first woman to enroll in theological studies to graduate from a Presbyterian theological college, and also the first woman to be granted an honorary Doctor of Divinity degree in Canada. Those are pretty cool things about her. Is there anything else that we can find here in the career section, let's say, that we can add into the article? I'm not going to do the exercise for you now, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to see, is there anything here that would be good to include that hasn't been included? What else can we do? We have found that in women's biographies, there are far fewer links to other articles than there are in men's biographies. And so it's harder to find Lydia Emily Grucci if there's fewer links, either from her article to another or another article to the article on Lydia. So another thing you could do is to add a link, and how to add a link, that's something that Colleen already went over. And then one more thing that you can do is, if you go down to the bottom, you can see there are these categories. Are there any other categories that we can add for her so that we can find her? For example, I'll just go ahead and click here, French immigrants to Canada. You can see that there's 73 of them here. There's French immigrants to Quebec in particular, which is a whole other subcategory. You can find her. There's French immigrants to pre-Confederate Canada, and so forth. So those are the three things that you can start by doing right now in the time that we have left. Is to add a category, is to add a link, or to add an extra sentence to the lead of someone. So I'm going to hop off, stop sharing. Okay, I should be back just in the main room, and ask you to find an article. Is that what we're going to do now, Colleen? Okay, Colleen says that's what we're going to do now. So each person,
Yes.
there's 23 of us. Let's find an article about one of those historic women. Okay? I'm going to pause speaking. Ideally, don't pick the one I picked. Ideally, everyone would pick a different article. I don't know how we can tell each other what that is. Maybe we write it in the chat, the article that we've picked, so we know not to step on each other's toes. Do you think that's what we should do, Colleen?
Yes, I do. And for those of you who didn't get signed up as editors, you could go ahead and pick a woman from the list and go ahead and look at her article and get your edit ready to go. And then when we work with you later, we can help you with that edit.
Rosie, can I ask you a quick question? I put in a couple women that are quite famous. So is that an issue as well? Somebody like Aisha?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe people might not want to pick Aisha's page because she's being monitored probably.
Right, that's a great question, and you're absolutely right. The more notable, the more well-known someone is, the more people who are watching that page, and they're going to watch your edit. And if you don't have 100 edits under your belt, they're going to be very, they're going to look very closely at what you have done with that page. Why don't I go to that page and I will show you how you can see how many people are looking at it. I'll click share. So here's Aisha's page. I'm going to click view history. Page views. Well, look at this. On this day, March 8th, she had 2,740 page views. there are 326 watchers of her page. There were only 1,621 page views of her page yesterday. That's a lot of people looking at that page and watching what is someone doing who only has 2 edits under their belt. So don't do that article. Pick someone else. We should actually not have included it on the list.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize the later
Yeah,
that I
no
probably
worries.
shouldn't have put them on.
This is a good learning experience. So pick someone else, please. And then let's do the same thing. Someone picked Mary Livermore. I'm going to pull that one up and we'll do the same thing there. Mary Livermore. We're going to click View History. Page views. So not so many edits, but still. Watchers, unknown number, that means, I'm not sure what that means. If there's so many that they can't keep track of them, Richard, or
I think it's too low that they don't want to give it away. That might give a hint if they give the exact number, something like that.
Yeah. Don't do that one. Pick someone obscure. Let me just check Lydia. I think she's pretty obscure, but let's just check. Oh, that's safe. That doesn't get very many page views. All right, so while you're doing what you're doing, do people want to do an edit now? Like, I'm not quite sure how we move forward, Colleen.
Well, I am wondering if at this point, because it's 2:47, so we're almost out of time. I am thinking, let's use, I think we could use 10. I think it would be nice to give people a chance to try to put an edit in. I think we should stay together in the big group. If people have questions, they can go ahead and ask them to the big group. Like while you were talking, Rosie, I went ahead and put an edit in for Alice Auma. And so I just added, I did what you asked. I went and found something that was in the article that seemed like it would be significant to be in the lead paragraph and just added a sentence about that. I'm also going to go in and put a link, or people could correct grammar. So why don't we give people 10 minutes to try and edit and to ask questions while they're editing? Or do you think it would be better to do the breakout rooms? I just don't think we have time at this point. So I think people should try to edit. And if you have questions, just go ahead and ask them about editing, about what you're doing right now.
Okay, I have a question. It's a woman that I wrote a book about, and they already referenced my book about Anne Hepburn. I'm having a hard time getting out of this, to get back to my screen. But they cite my book for saying that only 2 letters of complaint followed. There were actually many letters of complaint. So I want to edit out the 2 and write many. So Can I just do that? Or do I have to explain and put the page number of where I found the information?
I think the short answer is yes, you should include an inline citation, includes the page number at the end of the sentence where you're making a change. So what is the name of the woman that you're going to be?
Her name is Anne Hepburn, H-E-P B-U-R-N.
Is this her?
Anne Hepburn. She is from the Church of Scotland.
Yep. Can you see my screen?
I only see your face.
Oh.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. It's up above. If I switch this, somehow that my whole screen goes out.
Okay, so we're on the Anne Hepburn page. What section of the Anne Hepburn page are you speaking about?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had you all minimized so I could see what I was doing, and now trying to get back to what you were doing. Okay, and now I see Anne Hepburn. So it's down actually under Motherhood of God Controversy.
Okay.
And it says the prayer caused audible upset and 2 letters of complaint followed.
Okay.
I would like to take out the 2 and put many.
Okay, so let's see, there's a reference here, and the reference, is to your book and to page 107 of your book. Does page 107 of your book say many?
No, page 107, it doesn't even say, it's actually incorrectly cited. It's actually talking about the prayer before the letters were written.
Okay. What page says many?
So it actually has to say many. What I've done.
It could say 75 would be okay, and you could say many.
No, it says, to her surprise, delivered. Hepburn had to think quickly. The following day, the Glasgow Herald endorsed the motion, but erroneously reported that the Women's Guild had orchestrated. Such media coverage inflamed the debate. Many letters were published. Page 110.
Okay, it says many. That's fine. So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, so I'm in edit, so I can write. I'm
going to go ahead and get out of sharing, and you're going to share, okay?
Okay, you want me to share? I don't have I have the Wikipedia opened up in another browser.
Yep, that's fine. Go ahead and share your screen on Zoom, and then we'll be able to see.
So just go to the bottom of your screen, and there's a the green share button should pop up. In the Zoom.
So I don't know. Let's see here.
And if you press that, you'll get a screen with multiple.
I understand, Colleen. What I have you minimized, and because of that, I can't get to everything for sharing at the bottom of my screen.
All right.
Can I just publish these changes? If Rosie would just take me through this. Let me finish here, and then I'll come back and share what I have.
Go ahead and do it, and I'll keep an eye on what you're doing. Go ahead and make that change.
Okay, edit summary, describe what you changed. Many letters were written, page 110.
Correct. Nah, I just write correction.
Correction. And then do I also change the...
For the edit summary is correction.
Okay. And then down below, do I don't, oh, you see 107. I had 110. Do I correct that?
Yes.
Okay. So I edit it under references, and I
will take a look at what you've done after you've done it. Go ahead and just
okay. For some reason I can't change the page number.
Leave it alone.
Okay. Okay, then I'm done with what I have, but the page number is incorrect.
Okay, let's take a look. I'm refreshing the screen. Yeah, that's great. I will go ahead and add, Richard, and let me stop. Richard,
Yeah.
I don't use Visual Editor.
Oh, okay. I do.
Can you
Mhm.
go ahead and change that, add next to 107, comma 110, and that'll take care of it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. So
Go,
we're
go to
going
the Ann
to
Hepburn
Ann Hepburn.
article.
Sorry.
Ann with an E.
Ann Hepburn, like Audrey.
Yep.
And sorry, editing the, what are we editing?
So in the references section, there's a reference for Ursic, Elizabeth 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and it has page 107.
Yeah.
And it should be page 107 and 110.
Okay.
Do you want to do a screen share so that they can see how you're
Sure.
doing that?
Let me try to do that.
Thank you. I tried to share.
You have to turn off your screen share for me to screen share.
Oh, I have to turn off mine?
Or whoever has it on.
I did.
Okay. Set. Okay, so here is the reference. It's being used 4 times. Going to one of the places where it's being used. I'm going to click edit. I have mine set up so I can use both visual and the regular editor at the same time because they're useful different times. So I'm going to click on that, and I clicked edit, and this has different fields. So 107, and I guess what's the other one?
10?
110.
110. Okay, yeah. So apply changes. Clicking outside of there. Then did I save this? I think I saved it. Actually,
Publish changes.
so it's sort of, let me see if I can move my, my Zoom window is getting in the way.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, add additional page in refs. I just want to, say that what change I made. And there you go.
Thank you. And how do you say watch to see how many people are watching this page?
This is probably I think it's on this one, page information. So yeah, it
You
says
also got a
2.
chance. You also got a chance to do it when you did the edit. There's a little place where you can click watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can watch this page by clicking this star here. It is my watch list.
Okay.
I'll stop the share now.
Oh, good. So I should do that so I can watch and see if anybody comes in. Got it.
Right.
Thank you.
Our next meeting for the 1000 Women in Religion Committee meeting is on April 16th from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And you'll be receiving an invitation for that. So anybody is welcome to come. Let me tell you that we all started at the beginning. We all started where whoever here didn't get signed up to with a Wikipedia account yet. We were all there at some point, and many of the women on the committee were there at that point. So I'm just encouraging you to just keep at it and keep plugging along. Join us for our committee meetings. You can just hang out for a while, ask a few questions, and it will start to make sense to you. It will start to come. So you're welcome to join us. You're welcome to contact me for help and for information. All right, I just wanted to say, so this was a learning experience for everybody. So it's thank you all very, very much for being here. Thank you all for hanging in there through the process. It was just a super helpful learning experience. Thank you for hanging in there through all of it. Keep doing edits, and know that we're here to help. Contact me via email, come to our meetings. It's an important project. So thank you very, very much.